Okay, why don't you believe in God?
I'm not going to stand here and say why I don't believe in God. I mean, that's not something that's a semi-personal issue. I'm not going to.
All right, you're the one who brought up the issue of guilt, not me. You're the one who brought up Dostoevsky, not me. Now, Dostoevsky puts it brilliantly there in the Brothers Karamazov. If there is no God, everything is permissible. Now, the way you choose to experience your life is, not everything is permissible. It's not permissible to go out and rape and murder. It's not permissible to go out and steal and lie and cheat. Now, because you experience life that way, don't you think that that's a powerful piece of evidence that some type of God exists? Some type of creator of these values?
No, I think it's powerful evidence that these are real, absolute precepts. Now, I don't think you need a God to fit the data, to make the data fit.
How do you come up with a real, absolute precept without a thinking mind?
Because we all have thinking minds, at least most of us do.
Yeah, but who created those absolute precepts?
I don't know.
Well, obviously, if there is no God, you and I created them. We human beings did, because it obviously requires a mind to define a precept. And if we human beings are the ones who created the precepts, then they're all relative. They're definitely not absolute.
Why? We're all human beings. We all share the similar qualities. I mean, why does value have to come from something exterior to the human mind or the human soul or the human heart or whatever you consider to be the most important, the core of being a human being? We all share.
Sir, if there is no God, the core of being a human being is biochemical reactions. If there is no God, matter and energy is all there is to reality. You don't have a soul if there is no God. You don't have love if there is no God. You have biochemical reactions. Naturalism wins the day.
So you're telling me that all the atoms that are made up in my body, if they are arranged in a different way, would somehow be exactly the same as me standing here talking to you, being rational, communicating, having morals, having values. Say every atom of my body was arranged into a tree. That tree would be exactly the same as me. We'd be equivalent just because our biochemical structure is the same.
Sir, I don't have the faintest idea what you would be if instead of a head you had a third arm between your two shoulders. Now, come on, bud, that's the most ludicrous idea I've heard out here today. No, it is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if there is no God, all we are is matter and energy. Now, you know that, don't you? Or you really think that there's a possibility that we have a soul and a spirit if there is no God?
You've got a mind. You said that's how we... Every day you preach faith as faith that looks at evidence and then takes one step beyond. So obviously you're using the mind as a way to approach a God. Why can't you use the mind to approach some other sort of value system that doesn't require God?
You can, but you better use your mind to explore your experience, and you better ask yourself, this is the way I experience life. I experience moral absolutes. Maybe not many, but at least a few. Now, how is it possible for there to be a moral absolute? There's only one way. And that's for to be some type of mind prior to the human mind that creates and defines these moral absolutes. Because if there is no mind prior to the human mind, then it's obvious the human mind creates morals, which means all those morals are relative, depending upon which human mind you're talking to. So there are no moral absolutes if there is no God. If there is no mind prior to the human mind, morality is relative.
Right. Well, I don't know.
Oh, am I thinking or not? Am I great?
Yeah, I do. But I think the best way to summarize what I'm saying is there's some quote, I don't know who said it, but God created man in his image, and man, being a gentleman, then created God in his image. So the way I look at it is that we injected all our moral precepts that come from inside into something we call a God in order to organize human beings much easier. So what difference does it make whether...
Right. Then at least be honest enough to acknowledge morality is relative. And don't stand there talking to me about moral absolutes. That is nonsensical. If there is no God, if you are going to be an atheist or an agnostic, be consistent and say morality is relative. And don't tell me that what happened on September 11th at the World Trade Center, that there's something absolutely evil. No way. It's just all relative, man.
I wouldn't say it's absolutely evil.
Good. You don't say it's absolutely evil. And if your sister gets raped, there's nothing absolutely evil about that. It might be wrong from your perspective, but obviously from the perspective of the rapist, it's just fine. And you certainly wouldn't be arrogant enough to lay your relative arbitrary prejudices of what morality is on another human being, would you? Because that would be horribly arrogant. So instead, if you're a moral relativist, you acknowledge the opposite of my opinions about gay bashing, aborting babies, battered wives. I don't obviously know what you feel about those, but if you're a moral relativist, obviously you've got to be consistent, which means the opposite of what I feel on those ethical positions is equally valid as my position.
Well, it's kind of interesting, considering I being agnostic, I'm appalled at what happened on September 11th, but yet, these men who believe so strongly in a God that they would go, as you say, as Dostoevsky would say, and as you point out, stepped over, went beyond the permissible, committed these atrocious acts in the name of God.
Thank you for your honesty. Don't you see the way you contradict yourself so violently? You are appalled by what happened September 11th. You cannot live out your moral relativism. In fact, I've never met the moral relativist who has lived out their moral relativism. Because at some point in life, you're going to fall back on moral absolutes, and you're going to say, I'm appalled by that. I'm sorry, you can't. If you're a moral relativist, you can just simply say, from my perspective, that's wrong. But my perspective is obviously arbitrary, it's obviously relative, it's just my own bias. You cannot live out moral relativism, guys. It's impossible. None of you do. And that's why I'm so grateful a bunch of my moral relativist friends, after September 11th, are going back and reconsidering their moral relativism. Because they know that their experience of life violently contradicts moral relativism. It doesn't hold water. It's bankrupt, guys.